Hey everyone, welcome to the E2 Effective Elders podcast. Visit us at e2elders.org and please share this good word with others.
Hey friends, welcome back to the E2 podcast, and our thanks to CDF Capital for making this word of encouragement available to our many different partners in ministry. We're so grateful to CDF Capital. You know, all of 2022 we have been focused on what we call a good word, trying to build people up all year long. And every month of 2022, we've had a focus on a particular word, a good word. And now in the month of November, we're on this word, humility. It's a great word, humility. We began the month by looking at Philippians chapter 2, where we read about how Jesus, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. So what we want to do is expand from the life of Jesus, this thought of humility. And oddly enough, we just happen to be in Israel while we are focused on this word humility. Right now, I happen to be standing in our hotel courtyard just outside of the old city of Jerusalem. And I'd like to read here a text from Matthew chapter 23. Jesus was in Jerusalem. It was the last week of his life. He was speaking to the crowds. And he says here in chapter 23 of Matthew, verse 1, speaking to the crowds, he said, and his disciples, the teachers of the law, the Pharisees, they sit in Moses' seat. You must be careful to do everything they tell you, but do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads for them and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. You are not to call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father, and he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. Now listen to this, here it is. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled. There's that word, will be humbled. But those who humble themselves will be exalted. You know, looking at that word humility, from Gethsemane, from the top of the Mount of Olives, we heard about how humility halts. We got to humble ourselves and admit that we need to slow down and stop and rest in Jesus, for he is gentle and humble in heart, Matthew 11. And now here, humility helps. Not only does humility help me to have a right view of myself, a right opinion of myself, but then humility enables me to help others. You know, humility is not where we think lowly of ourselves, less of ourselves. It's how we think less often of ourselves. We've heard that so many times. We've even witnessed that during this trip. There are 57 seats on the bus, largest tour bus available to us, and there, oddly enough, are 57 people in those seats on that bus. And it's amazing how so many people on this tour are taking care of one another. They're not just looking after their own interests, wanting to be first in line, whether it's at a meal or at a site that we're visiting. They are truly in humility, being willing to go last so that others can go first. Those who are younger and stronger are helping those who are older and weaker. It is an amazing sight, and we are experiencing a true desire to practice the humility of Jesus. Humility helps.